So we're going to spend the next 10 minutes or so talking about the art of the follow-up and how to make your contacts count. And this presentation is going to give you some insight and some ideas on what you can do to appropriately follow up, whether it's you've attended a recent meeting, or even if you're taking some time now with things maybe slowing down to re-look at some of your contacts and see how you can reconnect with them. So the first thing to remember is that people do business with people they know, they like, and they trust. And that's really what is key when it comes to following up, is you want to build trust. So just as you don't get married after the first date, you build trust, right? You start going out, you get to know each other. And in a corporate setting, that building of trust is really, really important, because they're going to be spending a lot of money with you on a project, the same with your customers. So it's really important that you build that trust. And following up is all about following your heart and your intuition. And the good news is that women are really good at that, right? We tend to know, and we're able to read people really well to see, okay, this strategy is going to work with this person, that strategy will work with that person. But always remember, if it's not feeling good, then don't do it, right? If you've got some doubts, then perhaps rethink things. And so it's really important to just follow your intuition and your heart when you're following up. 6 things to consider after a meeting. And these are the things we'll be going through. Number 1 is you want to sort through your contacts. Number 2, create a follow-up system. Number 3, set some specific contact goals. Number 4, be a resource. Number 5, maintain contact. And number 6, reevaluate your goals. And these are not in any particular order. You could start off by reevaluating your goals, right? But as we go through each of these items, I'll give you some tips and some techniques. So sorting through your contacts. This is especially after an event or a conference or a meeting that you go to, but you can also do this now, as I said earlier. Sorting through your contacts. I remember years ago, and I'm probably dating myself, I had a Rolodex, and I used to color coordinate my Rolodex, and it sat on my desk, and every once in a while I just kind of flip through and see, I haven't spoken to so-and-so in a while, or let me see, let me update this contact or send some information to that person. So now you can do it through your phone, right? We've got the smartphones, we've got Outlook, we've got all sorts of things that'll make it a lot easier for you to sort through your contacts. But it is really a good idea, I'd say, 2-3 times a year, to just kind of go through and see who you might have forgotten, who may have fallen through the cracks, and maybe bring those people up to, to the forefront. But on a regular basis, you should be sorting through your contacts. So as you're sorting through those contacts, here are a couple of things that you should consider. Why is it that you want to contact them, right? What can you offer them? And especially, why should they care? Because everybody, it's always what's in it for me. And the me in the instance of clients that you're working for is them, not me, you, right? So you want to always be mindful of the fact that you're going to offer them something that's going to improve their life, improve the way they do business, save them money, save them time. It's something, and you want to present that in a way that they understand that it's going to benefit them. That's the why should they care portion, right? Business cards and pockets. So it used to be, we used to, walk around these conference events and major events with a bunch of business cards. And so I learned very quickly from a mentor of mine who said, never go to a conference without a dress or a skirt or a jacket that has pockets, because you don't want to be fumbling for your business cards, right? You want to have, on the left-hand side is your card, so or on the right-hand side, quickly pull that card out. And on the left hand, in the left-hand pocket is the cards that you receive, right? Then when you go back to your hotel room, you kind of put your notes on those cards and you start your follow-up system. But that's always really, really important aesthetically. You don't want to go to a meeting and then your business cards are not easy to access. Somebody hands you their business card. They're expecting yours in return, and you've got to go look at the bottom of your purse or through something or another thing to find your business card. So always make that, and remember that it's make it easily accessible. Right, the 3-pile method is, again, very simple, but very effective. You want to gather your contacts, your business cards, and you want to put them in 3 piles. The ones where you're going to act right now, that's 1 pile. Act later because you know you need to follow up with them, but that can wait. It's not an immediate need. And then finally, the 3rd pile is the one you want to file away. And that 3rd pile file away could be, you know, I'm going to put it someplace where I'm not going to see it for 6 months, or I'm actually going to decide today that this is not a contact for me, right? And so I'm going to file it away kind of permanently. But you can play with these things, but remember, you've got a group where you're going to act immediately, a group where you're going to act later, and then a group where you're going to decide whether or not you really want to act on them or with them. And then the second tip is to create a follow-up system. So this is really, really important because you can be really intentional and purposeful with your follow-up system, right? And we're going to go through a couple of tips. First, you want to do your homework. And you really want to set yourself up as a good resource and an expert. And really, really use Google and LinkedIn to your advantage in this sense, right? So if you've met a corporate representative and you would like to follow up with them, well, one of the first things you can do is just connect with them on LinkedIn and say, I met you at this event. It was really great to meet you. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Then you can start following the groups and the people they follow. After a while on your LinkedIn page, you can do a reference for them. You can also highlight the things that you know that they're good at. So that's a really great way to create and maintain a contact. Your capabilities statement is another great way to set yourself up as an expert, and you can send your capabilities statement to a recent contact as well. And if your capabilities statement has been updated, you want to keep that fresh and top of mind, and just drop them a note saying, you know, I've updated my capabilities statement, take a look and let me know if there's anything that we offer that we can help you with. And then the third thing, the first and second tier opportunities. When you meet a corporate representative, you always want to tell them that you're available for first and second tier opportunities. So the prime contracts are usually the very large contracts, and within those very large contracts, there are some supplier diversity goals. So you want to be able to tell the supplier diversity managers or the procurement officers, I'm available for first and second tier opportunities. Okay, and that they can then introduce you to the prime contractor and say, Nancy Allen provides XYZ, and she is WBEC certified, she's DBE certified, she's minority certified. All of your certifications can come into play as you present yourself as someone who is able to fulfill first and second tier opportunities. All right. Next, you want to set some contact goals. So that's pretty easy again, you know, with our smartphones and all. It's pretty easy to do. And some ideas are, if you do a monthly newsletter or a monthly blog, ask the person that you meet, would it be okay if I put you on my mailing list, right? And as an aside, everything you send out should have an unsubscribe opportunity or button, right? An option, an unsubscribe option. So that way, if you do send something out and, you know, eventually somebody decides, okay, they're not really that interested, they have the ability to unsubscribe, okay? And sometimes people look for that, so be sure on your blogs and on your newsletters, if you're sending them out regularly, to include that. You can send out a monthly blog, a monthly newsletter, you could do it quarterly, and you could do, you know, semi-annual follow-ups and updates. So the key is to set some goals so that you're not doing this, right? You're not walking this tightrope, and we call it being persistent versus being a pain, right? Very often we get a little carried away. We meet someone and we think, gosh, we hit it off and I have the perfect solution to the problem or the challenge that this corporate representative has or this potential client has. And we walk away thinking, okay, we're going to land this huge contract. And then we follow up and crickets. We hear crickets. There's nothing happens. And so we send a second email thinking, well, maybe that email went in, the first email went into the junk mail. We send a second email, we don't hear anything. And then we send a third email and we don't hear anything. Well, I always like to tell our members that at that point, if you've sent out 2 emails and you haven't heard from someone, contact one of us. Okay, contact one of us. Chances are we know someone who can have that person call that person on your behalf or send an email on your behalf. And we're happy to do that. It's better that the corporate representative says to us, there really isn't an opportunity at this point, than for you to kind of escalate your persistence, right? Because you definitely don't want to be put on what we call the bad girl list. Okay, and the bad girl list is that list of people who just didn't know when to stop. And after a certain point, if you reach out to me 4 times and I have not responded to you, my response to you would probably have to start with, I'm so sorry that I haven't gotten back to you. And that's difficult for a lot of people, right? So they would rather just not even get back to you than say, I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get back to you. The other thing about the bad girl list to keep in mind is that it is shared, okay? The supplier diversity representatives, they move from corporation to corporation, from government agency to government agency, and they like to refer people that are really good businesses, but they will also give cautionary tales. All right, so you definitely don't want to be put on the bad girl list. And I'm gonna remind some of you who've heard me say this before, that Leonard Spence of Disney had given us a really good piece of advice when we asked him what he would like to leave with a group at a meeting we had. And he said he would like everyone to remember to be bold, be brief, and be gone. And he said, be bold in the sense that you will come up to me and introduce yourself. I am at this conference, he said. I'm at a meeting, I'm at an event because I want to meet with potential suppliers. So be bold, come and introduce yourself to me. Be brief. I don't need your whole life story. I just need to know why it is you want to connect with me, and I represent Disney. And if you've got something that I can use, if you've got something that's going to make my job easier, it's going to help us save money, it's going to be innovative, I'm really interested in that. But I don't want to hear your whole life story. So that's the be brief part. And then the be gone part is after you've given me your elevator pitch and you've told me what you need to tell me, move on so that someone else can have the same opportunity. So again, it's be bold, be brief, and be gone when you're meeting. And I think the same is applicable as well with your follow-up. Okay, so be bold. We met at such and such an event. We talked about XYZ, and I'm just following up. Okay, that's the bold, and the brief is, a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later, I'm going to send you a little note reminding you that we met, we had talked about XYZ, and I found this great article that tells, that speaks to what we were talking about. Or I've updated my capability statement and I'm going to send that to you. So that's the be brief. And then the be gone is stop persisting. Okay. If it doesn't look like it's working out, just let's lay low for a little bit. And I will say, as I said earlier, contact one of us. If you have not been able to reach someone, or you need some advice on how to get their attention, we have lots of experience doing that. So don't hesitate to contact one of us. Okay, and then tip number four is to be a resource, right? So again, you want to make them look good. And that's what you need to be intentionally looking at. How can you make them look good? And I had heard one time that when you're at a matchmaker meeting, the goal is win, 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 right? You win, you make a connection. The person opposite you that you're pitching to, they win because they've got a connection, but you can do a further win by helping them with something innovative that they can take back to their team. So it's not just hire me, but it's hire me or use me as a resource, because I can make you look really good taking this idea back to your team. So again, it's what's in it for them. And then next, you want to showcase your expertise, right? So you can do that a number of different ways. You can write a white paper, you can do how-to documents, you can do process outlines. And we've got some webinars that show you how to do each of these things. So if you're interested, contact us and we'll send you some information, or perhaps have this as one of the many workshops that we do on our Monday window event. So white papers, how-to documents, and process outlines are really great ways to showcase your expertise. Number 5 is maintaining contact, right? So how are you going to do that? And it's pretty easy with the internet, and it's pretty easy with your smartphone. So decide, I want to maintain contact with XYZ person at least once a quarter, and this is how I'm going to do it. It'll be a phone call. I'll send them some snail mail, and I am a big proponent of snail mail because not very many people use that, and everybody loves to open an envelope that doesn't look like a bill, right? You can also maintain contact via social media, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, etc. So decide how you're going to maintain the contact. You can change it up. One time it'll be a phone call, one time it'll be snail mail, another time it'll be you reach out to them via LinkedIn, etc. But set up a plan that you can follow. Maintaining contact from afar, LinkedIn groups and industry groups are really great ways to keep your name front and center, or top of mind. Reevaluating your goals is also something that you really want to do on a regular basis. First off, you want to know, are you still aligned with your original goals, right? So take stock in why it is you decided to pursue this particular corporation or focus on this particular industry to grow your business, and then make sure that you're still in alignment with that. And then finally, is this still the right client for you, right? Because sometimes we think that, we want to go with XYZ Corporation because they do this, and that, and I can find a solution, I can provide a solution for them. But sometimes that changes. Your own vision, your own mission, your own ideas change, and you've got this client that you're going after who doesn't really align anymore. So you want to really be careful that every once in a while you try to determine, is this particular client still right for you? The one you're going after, and especially the one you have, okay? Because we see business owners fall into the trap of still servicing the very first client they had because they feel a sense of obligation. That person gave me my first break. I've had a long-standing relationship with them, but truthfully, my business has shifted and they're really no longer in alignment with what I do, but I can't kind of get rid of them. So we've got some tips, another workshop that we can do on how to gracefully say goodbye to a client, right? So let us know if you want some more information on that. We'll be happy to share that with you. So here's the recap. You want to sort through your contacts. You want to create a follow-up system. You want to set some contact goals. You definitely want to be a resource. You want to maintain the contact, and then you want to reevaluate your goals. And with that, I think that's the end of this short mini workshop. But if you want more information like this, a shameless plug is you should get my book because we have 25 tips like this that you can use to grow your business and to scale your business. And then finally, we're going to invite you to join our online class that's all in conjunction with the book, and we'll be launching that in August of 2020, and you want to get on our wait list for notifications. All right. So I don't know if there were any questions while I was going through that, and we can go through the questions now.
I had something I wanted to add, Nancy, or at least maybe ask you. Can we talk a little bit, because again, now that we're not in a virtual space, this idea that it is a really good time to go back maybe and touch base with people. And how do you recommend, maybe because we haven't seen people, right? None of us have been out since March. So what's a good way to kind of broach that? Because, we haven't seen people in a while, and you're like, wow, you know what? I'm not going to probably see them. So now I need to connect.
Yeah, well, I think one of the easiest things you can do is to go through your client list, your existing client list, and your prospects, right? And decide, are you still aligned with them, right? With everything that has happened, does your product or service still align with where their business is at today? And if the answer is yes, then I would just simply send an email to say, you've been on my mind. I hope you're healthy and safe. And I just want to reach out to you. And are you available for a 10-minute call, anytime within the next couple of weeks? And usually if you say a 10-minute call, it takes the edge off, because sometimes people think, oh, I've got to, have a half hour or a 45-minute call with this person. I don't have that much time. But if you put it in a 10-minute window, that 10 minutes can stretch, but at least you know that you'll have 10 minutes of their time, right? So I think that's a great way to re-engage. Another way is to update your capability statement, right? So we've all pivoted. We've started some new things. We're looking at things a bit differently. Now would be a really great time to send out your capability statements and say, this is what I've been up to, and here is what I can offer your company. And that's just a short email. I've attached my new capability statement. I'd love to talk to you about it. Contact me if you have any questions, right? I think the art of following up and the art of reaching out is to just give enough for them to be interested without spilling everything you have, right? Nobody wants to feel like they have to read a 5-paragraph, I haven't seen you in a long time and here's what I've been up to. Nobody wants to really read that. But if you start off by saying, I've got a couple of new things that I'm doing, and I think that these things will make a big difference with your company, because I know in the past you've looked at this, or even better, start off by saying, I went on your website. I read your annual report. I saw this. I'm doing this. Can we have a conversation to see where we might be able to help each other out, right? So those are different options on how you can start to reconnect.
Yeah, and I'm curious, Nancy, I'd like to hear and see from the chat box if any of our guests have ever felt, like they are afraid to follow up, or they feel like they don't have time. Like, what are the struggles that you're having that you feel like are preventing you from actually doing that follow-up? I know that at first when I had to do a follow-up, I was like, maybe they don't even want to read it, or I thought, oh, I'm going to be embarrassed sending it because I'm afraid, of the feedback. And, I listened to a quote and it was like, if you don't experience fear, then you'll never experience failure, or, it takes, failure to experience. What's that quote? Do you guys know that one? Can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but your point is correct.
Yeah.
It's all about going a little bit out of your comfort zone and putting yourself out there. I mean, the worst thing, if you're sending an email, the worst thing that can happen is they don't follow up. Then okay, well, they're not interested, right? They're not going to send you an email and say, you're dumb, you're an idiot for reaching out to me, you're this. That doesn't happen, right? So send that email or send the letter. You could go back and look and say, to one of your existing clients that maybe you haven't reached out to in a while. I was looking at my calendar and I just realized you have been my client for over 3 years, for over a year and a half. I'd like to celebrate that with you. Can we have a conversation? Okay, so you can turn it around so that it's you're the one at fault for not having reached out, and you just realized, oh my gosh, it's been this long since I've reached out to you. I'm reaching out. Do you have 10 minutes where we can do a quick catch up?
I love that. We have a couple of comments, Joanna. That was really great. Angela does say it sometimes feels awkward. And I think we've all been there. I love that, because you do. The worst fear is, I think some of us too get put on the list. Having been, I know Carmen and I, we've been on the other side where, you're like, oh my gosh, if that person calls me one more time. But that's the way not to is. And then Lisa Marie shares that she has to block out time on her calendar to ensure consistency and reminders in a timeline. And I think that is such a good point. And I know I've had coaches say, block out a time, even if it's a couple times a week or however, but that is your response time. That is the time to get back to everybody, to go through your cards if you'd been through an event, or to go through your emails. Or I think nowadays, one thing that a lot of people may not be thinking about is to go into your LinkedIn more. Since COVID, my chat has been a lot, or my message system in LinkedIn has been really busy. Again, people saying, hey, Steph, haven't seen you in a while. What are you up to? Or I saw this post and that was really interesting. So, I'm oftentimes didn't pay attention because I was getting solicitations, but now I'm having to weed through because people are connecting that way. So, yeah.
You have some more comments, Nancy. Someone wants to know if you'll have an audio book. And also, I think it was Angela was saying feeling awkward about following up. And I think one of the things kind of following up what you're saying is that we feel awkward because we're not sure of the response, but also sometimes we're not quite sure what to say. So the tips you're sharing today is really, I think, a great way to ignite some ideas. But I have a situation right now where I want to follow up with a company I did business with years ago. And I am like, okay, what do I say? How do I even start the conversation?
What to say?
So, yeah, it's definitely, yeah. How would you address that?
Yeah, so Emily, I would, reach out, I'd say, hi, Emily, this is Nancy Allen. You and I did business 10 years ago, and you have been on my mind. I would love 10 minutes of your time to catch up on what you've been doing and to tell you a little bit about what I'm up to. And just send that out as an email and see what response you get. And I'm probably sure they're going to say, wow, Emily, you've been on my mind too, because the universe does that. For some reason, if I've been thinking about you, you too have been thinking about me, right? So chances are they're going to come back and say, yes, you've been on my mind, and I'd love to catch up. Or they'll just say, Emily, I'm involved in this project right now. I can't even look at it or think about meeting anybody for the next 2 weeks. And you just write back, okay, good luck with your project. And then in 2 weeks, you follow back up. Okay, so I would just be bold and be brief, just as Leonard said, right? Be bold and be brief. Just,
and move on, right? And move on.
Yeah.
yes.
And,
Yes.
you know, I remember it was from Sarah Blakely, the owner and founder of Spanx, and her father made it a priority for her to embarrass herself so that she would feel out of her comfort zone. And so when she found herself, if she ever finds herself feeling nervous about something, she purposely will like go in the elevator and make a joke, like a silly joke, to make herself feel like, okay, I did something way out of the ordinary. So that's what it was.
That's awesome. Hey, Nancy, real quick, Valerie's asking if you can just project the slide that has the 6 on it again, if you could show that.
Sure.
And while Nancy's calling that up, another thing I've noticed, and Nancy again is the one that's gotten me really into LinkedIn more, is go in and search for that person and then go under them and see what they're, if they've been posting. I've noticed a lot of my contacts from days, some of my diversity contacts and all, there's a couple of them been posting articles or things they're doing, and it can be a fantastic way to send a note. I had one the other day, I won't name names, that I've known, and he is chief of diversity at a very big company now, and he posted about some things going on in his life, and it was such an opener to go, hey, so-and-so, it is so great to see you post, haven't talked to you in a while, you know, would love to catch up. And you know, but I know you've mentioned that a few times about following what people are doing, and then if they post something, it's opening the door. And actually, you'd be surprised, not that many people will always comment, you know, and so they love it because they know 2 people are reading.
Yeah, and even another idea when you read something that someone has posted is to just say, what a great article. Here are 3 things I got out of it. And then just list the 3 things. And then that immediately gives you credibility because it shows the person that you read the article. You didn't just say great article, you actually did read the article. And then it shows the person who wrote the article, wow, these 3 things really are important, and it can give some ideas of some follow-up, other things they could write based on those 3 things. And as your followers are following the people that you're following, it makes a really big difference. It sets you apart if you say, I'm going to share this with my followers, right? So these are easy techniques. And remember that slide that said to follow your heart? You all know this, right? You all know that this is how to follow up, but you're kind of nervous. You're kind of anxious about it. But I say just go for it, because the worst that could happen is that you don't get a response. But nothing ventured, nothing gained is what I think we should all remember.
Yeah.
Nancy, you have another question from Rose asking, how do you handle gatekeepers? Or some tips?
Okay. So let me stop my share for a minute. So the gatekeepers are really, really important people, right? And I'm going to share a story with you about Zappos. So, you know, you all probably know Zappos, the big company, right? The fulfillment company. So Zappos has a very particular hiring practice, and it speaks to this idea of how you should treat gatekeepers. So when you go to apply for a job at Zappos, there's a driver. They have a Zappos van that comes and picks you up at the airport. You meet the driver. He takes you to your interview, and then it's the same driver that takes you back to the airport. And ultimately, the driver of the van has the final say on whether or not you get hired.
Wow.
And the driver of the van has the final say on whether or not you get hired, because for many people, he is invisible. And so people will get in their car after their interview and say things that they think the driver's not paying attention to, right? And the people at Zappos also want to know, was this person courteous to you? Did they say good morning? Did they say thank you? Did they engage in conversation with you? So that's an example of a gatekeeper, right? So a gatekeeper is someone that you really want to develop a close relationship with, right? Often I will ask someone I meet, do you have an executive assistant or someone that I can contact in order to contact you? And if they say yes, or if you see that that person refers to Joy, their executive assistant, or Sam, or whoever, refer to that person by name as well. Okay, and the gatekeepers get a really bad rap because they're the ones that are kind of standing between you and the person you want to meet, right? But if you engage with the gatekeepers, if you show courtesy, if you're persistent, eventually they will let you in. But don't forget to always say good morning and thank you. Especially when you're walking into a corporate setting and you're meeting the receptionist. It's really, really important because they're gatekeepers of sorts as well. Okay, so I hope that answers your question.
No, I think that's great. Having been a gatekeeper, when a lot of times people don't realize how the supplier diversity system works, right? And so oftentimes the person that you see at events that doesn't have a vice president or title is the gatekeeper to all of them. And you know, knowing their names and getting to know them is huge. We had another question from oh my gosh, I hope I don't mispronounce her name. Oh, Rose says yes, that helped. Is it Deidre? She wants to know if someone, you were talking about if they say we can't talk for 2 weeks, would it be too bold to say great, that time works, and to ask them to go ahead and give a date and a specific time for catch up? Would that be too bold, she's asking?
Yeah, I don't think that's too bold. I think it depends on whatever relationship you've already established with the person, right? So if you met the person at a conference, and I also like, I meant to mention this, don't contact somebody right after the conference, okay? Because they've been out of their office, just as you've been out of your office for a week, they've been out of their office for a week, and they've got a million emails that they didn't get to because they were out of their office. So your email is gonna just sit there, right? I always say contact someone the week after the conference. Let them get back to their office, back to their routine, and then you could say, it was so great meeting you last week or the week before at XYZ conference. I hope you're settled back. I know that it always takes me a while after a conference to, you know, get back into my routine. So again, to answer your question, Deidre, it depends on how warm the contact was, right? If it was just you met the person and they're telling you they're not available for 2 weeks, say thank you very much. I'll check back with you after that point. I would not ask them for a meeting in 2 weeks. Do you see what I mean? I wouldn't ask them to give me a time. I would just say, I'll check back with you in a couple of weeks. Good luck on your project, or I hope you stay safe, or, you know, however it is you want to put it. But I wouldn't say, oh, you said 2 weeks. 2 weeks will be the 14th. Can you meet on the 14th at 10? No,
Yeah.
don't do that. Okay.
So Nancy, if you're meeting them on a Zoom call or a Zoom conference, or you see the person as a presenter, would you still wait that week, or is Zoom a little different because people are doing it out of their homes?
Yeah, that's a great question, Diane. I think Zoom is different because Zoom is an hour. Doesn't involve travel and being out of your office for a whole week. And what happens when we go to conferences, a lot of us stay on top of our emails, but a lot of us don't, right? We put an out of office notification, and then we just check the emails from our boss or from, you know, the really important people, right? And then the others, we say, okay, well, I have my out of office message. When I get back, I'll go back to them. So that's what I mean about they're going to be inundated with emails when they get back. So you want to give them some time to breathe a little bit, and then your email will pop right up to the top as opposed to being buried with the 150 or 300 others that they didn't get to.
Nancy, that's a very good point that you shared, because it's true when you've got so much communication going from different people to be able and then to focus on what came in the latest, that will definitely capture more your attention. So thanks for sharing that.
Great.
Well, we have about 5 more minutes left, so I'm going to pause this just to give everybody in the window a chance to give any other feedback that you on what's going on. And what I'll encourage you guys is that, again, we're getting these videos up as quick as we can, but also it is replaying on Facebook. And if you go in and you give a chat on Facebook, I will get a notification, as will Nancy, if somebody makes a comment on our Facebook chat. So please feel free, if you all of a sudden get off of this and you have a question, and you email it to us, but if you want, you can always rewatch it, and I will get notified that you have a question. And with that, Nancy, any other last minute things from you?
I say be bold, be brief, and be gone. Don't forget.
Yes.
Be bold.
Yes, yes, and we are here for you. So don't forget to use us, okay? Because part of what this team is passionate about is seeing you grow your business, and our experience probably adds up to over 150 years here, and we've each got some different experience, and we want to help you. Don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Well, fabulous. Well, there you go, guys. That is a wrap on our second episode of the WBEC Window. Thank you again for opening your window on the week with us. And we look forward to being a part of your fresh air you let in next week. So with that, take care, everybody, and we will be gone. Bye, guys.
Bye. Have a
Bye,
great week.
everyone.
Bye.